I'm now going to take a look at the pressure roller here. In fact, I already did take a look at it, and it seems to be hardened and glazed over. I tried to clean it with alcohol. It didn't really do too much. I've already cleaned the head with alcohol and a cotton swab, and I also cleaned, not cleaned, or rather I demagnetized the head and here the capstan, and now I'm going to go ahead and try to remove this. This is just held in by a little C-clip there, and the trick is always getting a small enough screwdriver in there to get this out, and there it's already out. Of course, this has to be put up in a safe spot. And now to get this thing out, I think we gotta push this spring back, and then this should just come out like that. And there we go. I don't know if that can be seen. It's shiny, it's glazed over, and even looks to be a little bit rounded, and I really couldn't get this thing clean. And I've got a bunch of little spare ones, which I got really cheap one time. I don't think I paid more than 10 cents for one. So this is going to go ahead and take its place. And while I'm at it, I can go ahead and clean this shaft here. And again, that's just with alcohol and a cotton swab. And then I'm probably going to, either I'm going to put a little grease on it or oil, I'll see. Also, I can point out that this really doesn't spin too much at all. So once I get this thing out, I'm going to go ahead and put a little drop oil down in there. So I'm starting to drive this pin out, or rather I had to have my wife help me. I don't have a vise or anything, and of course I don't have three hands, so I couldn't show this on camera because I was holding this, and then I used a little blunt nail, and then I just drove from this side here, and then it's slowly coming out. The rest I can finish off myself, and then I'll go ahead and pull this thing out. So this is actually how I'm driving it out. Of course, it'd probably be better if I had a press to put this thing and then drove it out, but of course I don't have presses anymore. Got rid of them all. So then I just continuously hit with the hammer on the nail, and looks like pretty soon it's going to be coming out. Now before I put the pinch roller back in, the pressure roller back in, and put the caps in here, I'm just going to put a tiny dab of oil in here, which is hanging on the end of my spray mechanism here. And of course it's got to be cleaned off. And now I can go ahead and put it back into the holder here, and I just reverse everything. I hit the pin in here, just take the pin and hit it in with the hammer again. So I got everything properly lined up. Here's my other little nail I used to drive the last piece of the pin out. I had to swap nails. So no, I'd say that's not it. What I'm going to have to do is drive this in a little bit. And try to get this lined up as good as possible. And it's actually going in, so then I got to carefully pound this in. It's getting better and better. Spins better too. and I've got to do it the rest of the way off camera. Of course, ideal again would be a press, and then probably a little piece of wood you put in here, so when you do hit the hammer, you can't bend this metal here. Now here you can see the new pinch roller in action. Was a lot better than the other one was. And the E-ring, we just snap that into place by first putting it on here, and then just using a pair of needle nose pliers. My next problem with this unit is if you put a cassette in the unit, it will not shut off. Now normally you're going to see this belt is loose. Normally what happens, if this belt is loose or missing, the cassette mechanism should shut off, the play should disengage, and everything should come to a stop. That is, but this is also tied together with this belt. Now if this belt is loose, it'll keep slipping. This needs to be turning in order to shut the mechanism off and push this rod up this way, which then puts the unit out of play or fast forward or rewind. And I can just show this right here. Let me go ahead and just pull the belt. A lot of times this stuff is all tied together. Now belt's no longer on. This thing should shut off, but it's not doing anything. See right here, and I can see this belt is already so loose it's already slipping. But if I turn this by hand, let's just imagine I could be going the wrong way. Yeah, it takes me, I'm doing a lot longer. It takes me a lot longer. There you see the mechanism shut off, because it just takes me that much longer here to do this by hand. So actually it's a twofold problem. So let's see what the effect is when I go ahead and put a belt on here. So I got a new belt in. So we'll just take this loose belt off, which, well, removed itself without my help. And then find that stop button. Go ahead and put a pretty similar belt. I didn't bother to measure this, I just eyeballed it. I bought a bunch of new belts really cheap. They came like from China. So that seems to be okay. Now we'll do the same thing. Now if I remove this belt, since that other belt's tight, it should shut off. Take this belt off, put it in plate. There you go. Okay, that's the difference. Again, now if this belt here is the small belt is loose, and then the unit's it's actually gonna go ahead and shut itself off. But once I get the belt on, now I can let this thing run now. Oh, okay, now it's going to shut itself off anyways. But once so put this on there, and now it shouldn't shut itself off. At least according to theory. Okay, it's running. That problem basically solved itself, and of course this here doesn't look good either. Let me see if even the counter belt's moving. So I got a cassette in this unit, and is the counter even moving? Nope. I can see it's on there though. Something going on down there. Oh, there it goes. But it feels really. Put it in reverse. It moved a little bit, but just alone the way that belt is rocking back and forth down there, it seems like it's not right. So let me go ahead and just change the belt. Now this counter belt just looks really easy to take off. And it in fact is, so I'm going to find another belt and just put that on. And here's a big old bag of belts I got from China. And here's a new counter belt, which before it wasn't doing anything reverse. Well, we'll find out right now. Okay, it seems like that. So that problem, this unit is looking better by the minute, I'd say. Well, the main belt seems to be okay, but I'm gonna see if I can't take a little closer look here. Wrong screwdriver, but it works. And I'm just going to take this plate off here, and then I should be able to get the main belt actually off. Okay, looks like it's all. Here we go. So, then of course, in order to take the belt off, we got to remove this belt again. Was a belt to the auto shut-off mechanism, and then means this should come off like that. And taking a look at the belt, I don't have a replacement, see, for this kind. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and clean this up with isopropyl alcohol and then put it back on. I mean, it seems to be halfway okay. If not, I have to order one, and I'll know if it'd be worth doing it. So let me go ahead and clean this up. Well, there's the gunk that came off the belt, and cleaning this thing is almost like brand new. That did help. It removed a lot, and it feels somewhat supple now. So same thing with the dirt that's accumulated on the flywheel. It can be seen right there, or some kind of residue. And I wonder if that could be actually removed. Not even sure if anything's coming off. Let me get a fresh Q-tip. Again, I just cleaned this with isopropyl alcohol. Every little bit of cleaning counts. So we can take the flywheel out too. There just seems to be 2 screws holding this plate here. Go ahead and take these off. And once we got the plate off, we should be able to pull the flywheel off. Now there's a washer on the other side. Where's that thing at? Right there, my finger's at. Looks like it'd be like a plastic washer or something. That's got to be put up. If not, we'll end up losing it like I just did. Hopefully it'll fall out. Okay, it fell out, and then we just pull this out. And I'm just going to go ahead and clean the shaft with alcohol. Is there any dirt on it? No, not really. And then when I put it back in, I'm going to go ahead and put some. You can see here where my finger is right there. That's where the part of the capstan that sticks out is, and I'm going to oil from this line down and put a light coat of oil. You can use like sewing machine oil if you got it. And then I'm going to put this thing back in. Let me find the oil. And now we're out of here. We can, for example, check the idler, make sure we got enough. The rubber here is still good if it's not all glazed over and cracked. Same here. In fact, there's even a little felt clutch down here, but I'm not going to mess with that. I can clean the rubber here with alcohol and see if it's okay. I mean, if I wanted to, I could tear this whole complete cassette mechanism apart, piece by piece. But, I mean, you only want to do that if the unit is extremely valuable, or, you know, you have a whole bunch of time on your hands and you don't have to worry about anything else in life. So I'm probably going to go ahead and leave that be, but just I am going to, as I said, I'm going to clean the rubber here. If these were bad, sometimes you can get like the little O-rings, and then take these off and put new O-rings on. A lot of times that works. And all the sliding parts here, like that. And I'm going to put a little dab of light. I'm going to clean this and then put a little dab of light grease on. And anything else, basically all these sliding parts, if anything is binding, I may as well do it now. Now that I got the unit apart, because in my lifetime this is only going to happen once in this unit. So I'm going to, again, clean everything up and then put light dabs of grease on all the moving parts that I think they have friction. I put a mini dab of grease right here, right where this, what would I call this, like a plastic bearing or something, and right where the shaft meets at. And now I just got to tighten this down. Now here's the unit, and you can see it's looking a lot better than it did before. But this is the auto stop mechanism, and it's all dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that. I know there's two screws here that need to come out, and I think there's, on the other side, there's a little C-clip. So I got this auto stop gear and cam system here. I got this cleaned up. So now I'm going to put a little light grease here on the teeth, and that's going to be the end of this. Now the pause, this is the pause button, and it is going kind of rough, so I am going to lube this up some. I can't take this slide here out, this piece here, this slide, I can't get this thing out because I would have to take off the button here and then pull it out. I think it goes out this way, and I don't think that's feasible for me right now to do that, so I'm just going to go ahead and lube this up some. So I ended up getting it to go easier. Like I'll put like grease, for example, on all parts that touch each other, like right here where this slide here meets this shaft or spindle here. See there, it's all this. And of course, try to keep the grease on the light side, and there was grease in there, somewhat hardened up. I got in there as best as I could. I couldn't get everything out because this screw here didn't want to come out, and I didn't want to end up stripping it up. And of course right here where it slides back and forth, basically any place that slid and moved, and I just used a very little bit of grease, least as I could get. I got a little bit too much right there. I'm going to remove that with the toothpick. But the unit now, the cassette mechanism is a lot quieter than it used to be, and it seems to run a lot smoother. Now I'm going to clean the rubber on these supply and take-up reels right here, and this thing right here, I don't know if that can be seen. So that right there, when it shuts off, that breaks it, and that's got some dirt on it. I'm gonna clean that. And the rotating parts here, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the cotton swab while it's running, and then clean it like that. Like, for example, get some like that. And there is some dirt coming off. And then, of course, clean the brake surface here. So I do that to both sides. And I can clean this here too. While it's actually moving, that's the easiest. Now this one here isn't spinning good, so it's got a little tiny little clip on here. I'm gonna take this off. So I got a little screwdriver, and I'm going to use a little Ziploc bag, and I'm going to put it over the spindle here and made a little hole in it, so I don't want this thing flying out. And now I'm going to use the screwdriver and get this thing out, and hopefully, okay, I got it out, but it looks like it's hanging in the hole there that I put on. But this way it won't go flying all over the floor, at least. Now I can just pull this out. Supposedly there might be something on the other side still holding it on. And one thing you can't forget about, which I just did, there's a little, this washer sits on top of this little reel, and of course I forgot about it, although I've already did this many times, but just one of the things that happened, so I got to put this up for safekeeping. And down here the problem is hardened grease. Right here looks like they use grease, so I'm going to use a light grease too. So I got this cleaned up nicely. I used alcohol and cleaned it up. Underneath this little flat washer with the arms there's another tiny washer. I put light drop of oil on the shaft, and below here they use grease, which had hardened up, but I'm going to use or rather I did use oil, and probably get a better spin now. Now it's the same thing with the other side. Everything's got to be cleaned up with alcohol and a swab or tissue, except this side I have two washers down here, and now I'm just going to re-oil it lightly and then put it back on. On the other side here I put the little washer and the clip on. I couldn't show it on camera because it's so tiny. I got to get really close to it. So last is the azimuth adjustment, and I've got a 6.3 kilohertz Sony test tape for that. And you're supposed to hook up a VTVM across the loudspeaker terminals, and then go ahead and adjust the screw for a peak. Screws here on the other side, it's the one with the spring on it. Normally it's got like a Loctite on it. That's got to be broken first. And I think I'm going to go ahead and break the Loctite first and then put the cassette in. Now the service manual says connect a VTVM across the speaker terminal. I did that. Set the mode switch to mono. I did that. Put the playback to test cassette in. I did that. adjust the head angle. Going to do that in a second. The output voltage shows 3 peaks while adjusting head angle is illustrated on the right. Adjust for maximum peak. That basically they want to tell you to watch out for false peaks. And then check that the output difference between mono and stereo is within 3 dB. Now I got the screwdriver on there. It's a little Phillips head, and I already broke the Loctite loose. Now we can take a look at the meter. So I'm now doing the adjustment, and obviously I'm going the wrong way. In fact, you can hear the high frequency. But it's starting to disappear here, and it comes back here. So I think that right there should do it. Now I just got to make sure it's hit the mono and stereo. It's supposed to be within 3 dB. And there's barely any difference, so I would say it's fine. Okay, one thing I still have to do, I got to put Loctite or fingernail polish on the screw again to lock it in place, and then that's done. Anyways, thanks for watching.